When you get arrested in New York City, you go to Rikers Island. Absolute bedlam. I mean, constant fighting, constant stabbings, beatings at the hands of the correction officers, poor food, poor living conditions.
In prison, if you let the slightest thing go, people say if you give them an inch, they take a mile. That is true in prison. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. If someone feels that they can do something to you, then they will continue to do it, and they will push the envelope to see how much they can do to you. And if others see that or get wind of it, they will do the same thing as well. So you have to nip things in the butt as soon as they arrive, or else you will create a problem for yourself.
When you go to jail, you have one good fight, and they leave you alone.
A time that you would encounter something that is of violence or people messing with you is if you go to a new facility or they move you to a new dorm, a new block where some people don't really know you. Now, some guy want to figure you out. Some guy want to test you. Someone want to see if you're tough, if you're soft.
All right, so boom, I'm a Black trans woman. So when I was in the facility, the first time I got locked up, I was in a men's facility. And it was the worst experience ever. The officers didn't treat me good. The men officers treated me like crap. The inmates wanted me to suck their dick, or they was just going to treat me like shit. Yes, that was my first bid. And then my second bid, I got arrested, and we were told by the deputy and the commissioner that we would be the first 15 women going to Rose Singer Center. So those girls are pretty decent. They were very nosy. They wanted to know so much about transgender, about us, about everything. In men's prison, I felt that you needed to definitely mind your business, because I saw somebody get cut in the face at Marcy Correctional Facility. And it was not a good day or situation. But then when I got to the females' jail, all them bitches talk shit, all of them gossip, all of them is catty. So it was really no mind your business. We was all just gossiping and catty.
It's very difficult to have trust in people in prison. In prison, we say, in the street it's paranoia. In prison, it's paying attention. In prison, your fears are real.
Just to give you a quick little background, when you're in county jail, you're not convicted of anything yet. You're actually just fighting your case while you're in county jail. Now, once you're shipped upstate, though, no funny, you are actually their property.
Let's talk about the difference between the caliber of correctional officer on Rikers Island and the caliber of correctional officer upstate. Your correctional officers on Rikers Island are from the community. A lot of them you probably grew up with. They've grown up in the same community. You meet someone you knew from your childhood, or for me, I went to school with. They watched me grow up because they were friends with my older brothers or something like that. Because these officers were from the communities we were from, it made it an easier situation to talk to them.
The county officers, I respected them just a little more because I felt like they were born in the areas that we were born in, and that was just the job that they had to take. So they had a little more understanding and respect.
Now that scenario changed when you went upstate, because now you're dealing with officers who simply look at you as inmates and not human beings, who only call you inmate. They don't want to know you. You don't want to know them. Matter of fact, you don't even want an upstate Department of Correction officer to even know your name, your full government name. If there's such a thing happens, that means you are too much in the notice of them folks, as we like to call them.
The officers upstate, they were reckless. They'll beat the shit out you if you do anything wrong, if you look at them the wrong way. So it was real traumatizing for me. But I saw a lot of Black inmates get beat up. I saw a lot of, by white officers. I saw the white officers call the Black inmates niggas. I saw the white officers call us them ain't shit. The white officers called me fairies. They were disrespectful as fuck.
What happens when you're incarcerated? You have what's called inmate codes. For example, you don't stare someone in the eyes because now you're calling them out. You know, you want to fight. You don't turn around and say anything to like the correction officers or anyone else because now you're snitching, and snitches get stitches.
Don't snitch. See something, don't say nothing. Don't fraternize with the police and staff too much. If you're seen talking to staff too much or police too much, then you'll be considered and labeled a rat even though you're not telling them nothing. That's just how it is. Don't take nothing from no one freely. There's a reason why they're giving it to you.
Mind your business, do your time, remain on a positive tip, and you'll be fine. Minding your business is important because you might not want to be in the scenario that just by being in the right, wrong place at the wrong time or the right place at the right, time, something goes down with Billy over here. And then you see what's going on with Billy because you're nosy and you see what goes on with Billy. You might meet eye contact with Billy. All of a sudden, just by happenstance, the dorms get rushed for a shakedown. They find a shank in Billy's cell. Now Billy thinks that you told on him. How are you gonna get out of that? That's your world against Billy's. Billy knows a lot of gang members. Billy is a gang member. Now Billy calls people to sick people on you because all of what you've seen Billy do. So that's when minding your business comes into play.
There's a racial divide there. Most of the staff are Caucasian. Most of the entire prison population is African American and Hispanic, and so there's constant conflict between the officers and the inmates. And so when you're labeled a snitch, you're labeled someone who not only betrays the prison population, but you're betraying your own race, your own ethnic background. You cannot allow yourself to be labeled a snitch. And that's why that's another barrier to opening up in therapy in prison.
Met with looks, disrespected by officers, disrespected by the medical providers, because when you are locked up, the medical providers and the officers commingle, so they know your business too. So, it's just a shit show.
It's unfortunate, but some of the staff do share the stuff that you say in therapy sessions with the officers. They all work in the prison. They're all colleagues and so on and so forth. That's their attitude. And they do sometimes tell the officers what you say in therapy. That's not good. It doesn't in any way, shape, or form help to build any kind of trusting bond between yourself and the therapist. It's very bad.
With mental health providers, not saying anything about me, trying to, not give information. Why you want to know so much about me? I'm just there to do my time and I just want to leave.
You're always wary in prison of opening yourself up and making yourself vulnerable. Because when you open yourself up, by definition, you're making yourself vulnerable. And so you don't want to do that in prison. That's your feeling. So it's hard to develop a relationship with the therapeutic staff, especially if you're going through periods of paranoia and you're thinking to yourself, hey man, is she gonna tell the officers what I'm saying here in therapy? Well, dealing with mental illness when you're incarcerated is very, very difficult.
They heard that I was having suicidal thoughts and homicidal thoughts, as well as hearing voices, which I was to a point, and thinking those thoughts, but I didn't want to be in PC because there you're locked up. When you're in PC, you get treated even worse. So I just wanted to roll with the population and blend in, and that's what I did.
There's stigma everywhere. Being in there, the way you're treated is like you have a mental illness, and we're not going to take anything that you say seriously. It wasn't more of the women that were incarcerated, the stigma there. It was more of the correctional officers and how they treated us.
On Rikers Island, the medication escort officer was real nasty. He was real rude. He basically wore that cloak of power and privilege like it was a custom-made suit. And he would curse you out. He would call you all type of names.
Everybody knows who takes meds. So being on Medline can make you a target because you're not fast to react. People might take advantage of you. You know, some people see that this person is on medication, he's not functioning like everybody else is functioning. The reaction time is slow. You might be lethargic, you might sleep all day, and, those people are targets.
I felt bad because I didn't want to be like them. Be like so drugged out of my mind that people would take advantage of me, and then take my things and maybe even rape me.
It takes a lot, to survive that call when they call, OMH call out, and you gotta go to your OMH appointment, or they call medication and you have to go get your medication, because at that point everybody's commenting on you as you're walking out your cell. Oh, he's a bug out, man. This guy can't take it.
Yeah, I didn't go to treatment. Not when I was locked up. I didn't. And yeah, I denied like a lot, like 75% of the time I denied it because I don't want to be like vulnerable, and I didn't want to be a target. So I just acted like I was a tough guy and tried to get by like that.
As a Black person, as an African-American person, taking psych meds and all of that stuff is frowned upon in our community. So I surely was not trying to be known as a pill popper or anything like that.
You spend a lot of time in your cell by yourself. It's very isolating. And, it's devastating that the stigma with mental illness, is about 10 times worse when you're in prison.
So coming home, how that played on me, I don't want to go back to jail. I'm not doing nothing that's going to make me go back to jail and have to deal with that type of treatment ever again. So I'm very more wary about police officers. I'm wary of white people.
Before you go in, when you get incarcerated, you already have trauma. Now, when you're incarcerated, there's more trauma. But when you're released, when you're discharged, now you have the debt to society. You have re-entry. You have to let go of those inmate codes. If you don't let go of that mentality, that could get you back in.
I felt very defensive when I first got out of prison. And I felt very hyped up, almost ready at a drop of a hat to defend myself physically from threats real and imagined. And it took a while for that, in that first year, to basically say to yourself, something? You don't have to be afraid. You don't have to act that way. It's over.
I now have anxiety problems. In prison and the treatment facility, I never had that. But I get to the street and my anxiety's to the roof all the time. People staring at me. I don't like wearing a t-shirt because of my GPS tracker, and some people may have questions or they may stare at me, or that it could just be my perception, but I get very anxious and I have a panic attack unless I'm with somebody that I could trust. I don't like being by myself anymore.
I think it's important for all people that come home from incarceration. They need proper mental health services. They need proper medical services. Unfortunately, they don't get the medical needs that are met when they're in jail.
I've been out of prison now for about 3 years. That first year, you're still hyper-institutionalized. People say, well, I'm not institutionalized. I fought against it and it didn't happen to me. That's nonsense. Everybody becomes a little bit institutionalized when you're in prison. you have to become a little institutionalized as a survival mechanism, as a way of coping with the stresses of prison. Now, when you get out, you have to go through a process of deinstitutionalizing yourself.
Being locked up in the being way, I guess, how can you say, most people cut themselves off, and I guess I did that too. I speak to it's like I don't have much emotional attachment.
I was sent to St. Lawrence for treatment, and I didn't want to be there. I just wanted to go home. I didn't want treatment. I didn't want more treatment because I already seen the type of so-called treatment they tried to give me in prison, and now you're gonna send me to a treatment facility where, like, I felt like I was gonna get treated like garbage anyway. So why do it? Why can't you just, I already did my time, let me go home. It started off in prison, and then, like, getting to the treatment facility, some of the staff, like, just didn't treat me well. And they would degrade me. So, like, I just thought, like, when I got out, it was going to be the same way with my treatment providers and my parole officer. But it wasn't.
The last time I was released, I did go to treatment and was shockingly surprised that treatment was different from incarceration. And I was able to grow with my provider. I was able to talk to my provider. The conversation started out like two humans having a conversation. Hey, how you doing today? You know, what's new with you? What's good? And I kind of leaned into that, even though I had been traumatized by the way I received treatment in incarceration. When our relationship started off like that, I was like, whoa, okay, yeah, we can do this.
Being mandated to treatment for me was extremely difficult because everything that went on that piece of paper went to the court system, to family court. So I felt it's difficult. How can you sit there, speak about whatever issues, and then not knowingly know what's gonna be used against you when you go to court? So it was like walking on eggshells. I was very afraid. I felt that I just had to hold a lot of things back. I feel it wasn't effective. It was not effective whatsoever.
I felt that there was a lot of disrespect, not only behind my addiction and my mental health issues, it was also I was a Black woman. I didn't feel at that time, in certain settings, not all, just certain settings, that I was cared for at all.
The people in the Project Renewal program were there to help me. And I felt that very strongly. What they understood was that I was coming out of a traumatic situation. Prison is traumatizing. There's no other way of saying it. And so what they understood was I had almost a form of PTSD from my prison experience. And that because of that, I would have the possibility of not trusting them, of not having a faith in what they were going to do. I really feel that they do treat me with respect and with caring. My therapist cares about what's happening to me. She listens, so she reinforced this a positive view of myself, and that's why I get along with her.
So yeah, I don't trust easily. That's the negative about me. I don't trust. That's in my professional life, my personal life, everything.
Trust is a very big thing for me. And if I could trust the counselor or whoever was doing an individual session with me, I got out more treatment than anything.
I had to kind of like basically feel my way around to be able to share openly like that when I first got out. Because we still have trust issues regardless of whoever it is, wherever you at. You have to feel someone out to see if they're, I guess, worthy of the information that you're about to, impart on them.
I go in and I see if the person looks me in my eye when they're talking to me, I give them a chance to sell themselves. And then I don't just give up on them. I let them do whatever they do. And then I say, hey, you know what works for me? Say you see me, you don't look at me. Say you don't even look at me, but you want to talk about medication. I'll stop them there and I said, that sort of offends me a little bit. I need you to give me some eye contact.
It takes a long time for me to build up trust in someone. You know, now with the therapist I have, I've worked with her for over a year. I'm very open with her because now I understand, you know, working with her, you know, that she respects me, she trusts me, she believes in me.
I overcame the barrier of not speaking my truth by finally believing in the supports that surrounded me. My open collaborative system with my treatment provider, it took a minute. We had to build trust. We built that trust by babies. And I know it sounds strange, but I was babysitting a lot my godson, who was about 2 months old, and she had just had a child. And we started like trading like, you know, little tips and tricks about what to do with a little one like 2 or 3 months old. And we kind of bonded through that. And I thought that was really strange but wonderful and exciting that I could speak to my treatment provider, not just about treatment, but about everything else that was going on in my life. When I think about treatment, I think about something that is supposed to be for me, includes me, involves me, and kind of like encompasses me. The providers that I saw upon my last release totally gave me that experience. We got you, this is support, this is gonna go how you want it to go, this is dictated by you. And that was a bonus to me because it allowed me to grow. It allowed me to make some changes in my life.
Inviting, open, more seeking, you know, to help you, assist you accomplish, you know, what you're looking to accomplish as opposed to determining what you can accomplish.
They gave me a sense that, you know, they was concerned about me and my well-being. So those are the particular things that that attract me.
I want to be respected just like everybody else. I understand that I have a mental illness, but it doesn't mean I'm a bad person, right? And too often therapists, I think some of them have the idea that if you're mentally ill, it's because you're a bad person. You know what I mean? And not that you have an illness.
Talk to me, like, ask me what's going on, see what my thoughts are, and ask me if there's anything that they can do to help.
Someone who's willing to let me be me and then learn to like me as me instead of just looking at me as a client.
The provider that got me to open up created community and created a relationship with me. My provider talked to me. Not only did she talk to me, she looked me in my eyes and talked to me. And the respect she gave me, she wasn't talking to me like a patient. She wasn't talking to me like someone who's totally messed up their life and probably can't come back from it. She wasn't talking to me like a mentally ill person. She wasn't talking to me like a drug addict. She wasn't talking to me like an inmate. She was talking to me like a member of this human race.